Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy with me, your host Jan, and to the press conference room as Chelsea are returning to action. That's right, football will happen to us yet again. Graham Potter's done his pre-match press conference, giving us injury updates. It does look like Anthony Barry will go and join Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich. What does that mean? Who do we play now? Do we play Noni Madueke after his wicked tournament appearance for England's under-21s, winning man of the match? So much to discuss, so much to get into, and we're going to get into that today. So thank you for joining me. I thank you for liking and subscribing the video. It's a way to make me feel good. So yes, thanks for doing that. Yes, of course, Graham Potter had his press conference. He gave injury updates, that of which I will forward on to you now. So there's no Raheem Sterling for this weekend, even though we've seen him pictured back in training. No Wesley Fofana for Aston Villa, which is a bit of a disappointment because he was playing well. So I'm guessing we'll build like a starting lineup in a moment, I think, or I'll certainly give you my starting lineup. Mount is back, but he won't start. Very peculiar. I do believe Mason Mount genuinely has an injury. I don't think that they're faking an injury, but he's always been good to play, and suddenly all this contract, palaver, suddenly he's not available, which I don't know, maybe I'm just being a conspiracy head. And Pulisic's doubtful. Of course, we're turning to Pulisic lately. So that is interessant, ladies and gentlemen. So Graham Potter said, he explained about injuries. He also spoke about Anthony Barry without speaking about him, going to Bayern Munich. And he says, look, I don't think he was like, that's a nonsense story. I did miss a little bit of it, but I caught him saying at the end that essentially he's going to leave up to the club. Simon Johnson of The Athletic asked him, look, if this does happen, surely you'd want this to happen after you could potentially play Bayern Munich. So, after the Real Madrid game, see what happens, because you don't want him going just before you play their team, because, of course, he's going to do everything he can for Bayern Munich to help them win. And that would include giving them special insight with how we've been training at Cobham and how we've been preparing for games, which is, of course, a silly thing to do. So they might be like, all right, you can go, but you can only go after this game. And surely Bayern Munich and Thomas Tuchel, who's been referencing Chelsea as well in a press conference recently, would understand that. But just on Thomas Tuchel, this is interesting. So just how brutal the sacking was. Well, the dismissal was, not necessarily the reason for the sacking. Just on a minor and fleeting tangent, Thomas Tuchel said this on getting sacked at Chelsea. It was a shock. The meeting only lasted 3 to 5 minutes at 8 in the morning. They're always really brutal in the morning, aren't they? I remember Lampard, telling him, Gary Neville on the overlap, like he checked his phone as he was waking up. Like, check Instagram or whatever. Always the early morning message, and then the early morning sacking. 8 in the morning. We thought we were right on track and had more time to build. We had a good relationship with the people there. I'm guessing he's talking about his coaching staff, Arno Mikkels and Zoltlo. So we had a good relationship with the people there. I still have a lot of friends at Chelsea, and that's not going to change. Nice. So that's nice. Chelsea fans like Tuchel. Some people did. Some players obviously fell out with him. Timo Werner being one. I think that's one of the reasons why he got sold. And interestingly, what I do want to talk about before I give you my lineup for the Aston Villa game, Kai Havertz was interviewed by German publication Bild, and he was asked, look, would you go to Bayern Munich, play for your old coach, Thomas Tuchel? Of course, he's been linked. Thomas Tuchel was a big fan of Kai Havertz. Bayern Munich separately were a big fan of Kai Havertz. Of course, it was them and Real Madrid that were in the race for him when Chelsea signed him under Frank Lampard. You'd have to think he'd do really well out there as well. And he came out and said something like, look, it's hard to say no or something. It would be hard to say no, or maybe, because Bayern Munich are the biggest team in Germany, and, as a German international or something. Maybe he also thinks, I think he's probably happy at Chelsea, but maybe he probably thinks, man, this is rough. And this is tough, like this is hard work, the Premier League, and I'm not scoring all the goals like I was doing in Bayer Leverkusen. Maybe, just maybe, I can go back to Germany and go to the Bundesliga, go to the Bayern Munich, win loads of trophies, still be very much in the German media's eye, keep starting for the German national team, and remain positive about his Chelsea experience. Of course, how could he not be? He scored the winning goal in a Champions League final against probably the best club team in the world at the time in Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. You can't be mad at that. And if you look at Bayern Munich, of course, they haven't really replaced Robert Lewandowski. They played Mane for a little bit down the middle, and of course, they're playing Eric Choupo-Moting, who's like mid-30s. And although he's been excellent, and what a swan song in his career, like PSG and Bayern Munich winning loads of trophies, scoring, and he's having a career best season. And by the way, Julian Nagelsmann is largely to thank about that in terms of his coaching, which probably won't get talked about much. So that is really, really an option there, essentially. Kai Havertz could go and be that striker for Tuchel. Of course, Tuchel has enjoyed really free-scoring strikers in terms of Mbappe, scored loads for him. I know he's more of a wide forward at PSG. And Dortmund, of course, Aubameyang scored loads of goals, and he loves Aubameyang. That's another player that he could maybe link up with. I don't know if he'd bring him to Bayern Munich, but if anything, because Lewandowski's gone and because Thomas Tuchel is there, Kai Havertz to Bayern Munich kind of makes sense. So Kai Havertz, it's important to note he's not pushing for a move. I'm reading something here that he says, Bayern are generally a huge club that's hard to say no to as a German player. But my personal goal has always been to play abroad at some point in England or Spain. Well, you could argue he is achieving that goal, or he's achieved that goal. He won the Champions League. I don't think he's pushing for a move. I don't actually want Kai Havertz to go. I really like him. If you watch this channel, you know I'm a big fan of him. I think he's really, really skillful. I think he's quite unique. But whether he should keep playing in this Chelsea team long term, we'll find out if Graham Potter remains the manager next season, if he finds a way to get him in. So far he's done better under him, but it's interesting to hear him keep his options open for Bayern Munich, and indeed Thomas Tuchel, who he's already said probably in the same interview to Bild that he had a good relationship with him. Political, keeping his options open. Right, so we are playing a football match, and I'm going to give you a lineup who I think should play. And I did actually want to talk about Andre Onana a little bit as well, because Chelsea have been linked to him, but I'm going to put a pin in that and just sort of keep a bit more of a keen eye on Kepa. But he starts in goal for us, of course, in this Premier League match. He does start in goal, and I think we keep a back three system. I'm not entirely sure if Thiago Silva is back, but with Wesley Fofana out, he'll start on Chalobah will start on the right. I think probably we keep Koulibaly down the middle. I'm not sure Thiago Silva's ready to come back. And on the left, we probably just go with Marc Cucurella. I'm hopeful for first choice wing backs in Ben Chilwell and Reece James, who we've seen pictured in training. It does seem like he's going to be good to go. So, with that back three, those wing backs, you're feeling pretty good. Enzo Fernandez, record signing, will of course start in the midfield to the double six, and that is a good thing. Who's going to partner him? Well, as much as we all want to see N'Golo Kante start next to Enzo Fernandez, but is this the game he's going to suddenly pop out of nowhere and start a game when he's not even had some minutes off the bench yet? Probably not. Of course, we've seen loads of media from Chelsea of him on the training pitch at Cobham smiling and feeling good, and he's just had his 32nd birthday. So he's into his 30s now, 32. I'm sort of praying he goes down the Modric route and we keep him top notch for a few years, but I doubt he's going to start. So I am going to put captain goal-scoring Kovacic next to Enzo Fernandez. Of course, he scored a goal recently for Chelsea against Leicester, I believe it was, and scored 2 away in the last game for Croatia. So dude is fancying scoring a goal, which is obviously very helpful for us. So we need to build a front three. I do think the aforementioned Kai Havertz will start. And with that, João Felix also scored on international duty for Portugal, and he will start as well, of course, much like Enzo Fernandez, but more so with Joao. He's not on an 8-year deal that we're trying to, like, you know, keep him in good nick forever. He's still just on loan. And despite Chelsea's every intention to maybe sign him long term, they will want to just get the most out of their loan in terms of monetary value. They've already lost 3 games, which was millions of pounds or something, or however long it was, however much it was. So Joao Felix will start in a free role behind Kai Havertz, but who is going to partner Kai Havertz? I want to see Noni Madueke, but I have a feeling Madueke will feature off the bench as a bit more of a dribbling wild card. I don't think he's got... I mean, I think we'd be pleased to see him in the starting lineup, but I just can't see it. I think, I don't know, Mudryk got hooked for Ukraine at 60 minutes, whereas Madueke won man of the match in 20 minutes. But despite that, I think it will really come down to a sort of a profile thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't see Ziyech starting. I don't know what he's doing at the moment. Maybe long term we're just thinking, look, this guy's going to go. Let's just build for the future. Maybe not. Maybe he does start on the right, Ziyech, Havertz kind of on the... Or no, down the middle, and then Felix on the left, because we have seen Felix play as like a sort of left inside forward as well. That could happen. But I am going to go with Mudryk. I do want to see Mudryk. He's in scintillating shape. The dude is like good to go. Whether we play him as like a false 9 again, I think, of course, Unai Emery's Aston Villa are going to keep it relatively tight and pragmatic, so there might not be that much space to run into. And with that, Graham Potter and the coaching staff might think, in that case, either a more creative passer like Ziyech, or someone to carry the ball through the defenders like Noni Madueke. So really, it's the third for me, but yeah, I suppose you could play Madueke on the right, the dribbler, Kai in the middle, and then Joao Felix on the left. I wanted to put it out to you guys to hear what you guys have to say for a lineup and how you're feeling and about these stories and everything. So yeah, that's my pre-match press conference. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on what's coming for Chelsea. Like I said, please do like and subscribe and comment and share. Love you lots. See you in a bit.